The year 2020 presented the Kenyan judiciary a bag of mixed fortunes as it went about fulfilling its mandate of interpreting the law in situations presented to it. Whereas it accused the executive of undermining its independence, some of its rulings did not go down well with the executive. The stiff dominated the last year of Chief Justice David Maraga's tenure. The COVID-19 pandemic seemed to have given impetus to digitization in the judiciary. Besides this milestone, the judiciary will also be remembered for landmark rulings such as ordering Parliament to refund billions of shillings MPs illegally awarded themselves in the House allowances, and another one that awarded for survivors of post-election violence 4 million shillings each. And here is Serafina Robi with the highlights of 2020 in the corridors of justice.
The year 2020, the judiciary as one of the arms of the government has been presented with not one, not two, but a number of litmus tests on its capability as an independent arm. The question that arises from all this is, has it passed the capability of standing as a hallmark and pride of independence in its rulings? Let's walk down the corridors of justice to ascertain this. The year 2020 in the corridors of justice notably began with a suit lodged by the Law Society of Kenya seeking to compel President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint 41 judges picked by the Judicial Service Commission. And on the 6th of February, a 3-judge bench of the High Court ruled that it was unconstitutional for the President to decline appointing the 41 judges.
The Constitution, as the two multi-judge court cases held, requires you to appoint judges recommended to you by the JSC, which you have refused to do. The laws of this country include valid court orders. It therefore behoves you to appoint the 41 judges recommended for appointment by the JSC as ordered by the court without any further delay.
Justice James Makau, Lydia Chode and Chacha Mwita ruled that the President had no power to review, reconsider or decline the appointment of judges as forwarded by the JSC. According to the Constitution, the President is required to appoint the judges within 14 days after the names are forwarded to him.
Despite this clear provision and the 3 court orders, the President has failed to appoint the 41 judges, now 40 because one of them has since died. Both the High Court and the Court of Appeal have been categorical that the President has no residual legal power to question or reject the names recommended to him by JSC, but to appoint them. I continue to urge the President to appoint those judges without any further delay.
President Uhuru, however, cited integrity issues on some of the nominees. Integrity queries in the judiciary, however, come to fore when Court of Appeal Judge Sankale Olekantai was arrested for allegedly coaching Sarah Wairimu, the main suspect in the murder of her husband, Dutch businessman Rob Cohen. As the saga of the appointment of judges continued, one of the nominees, Elvis Michieka, who was a principal magistrate at the Mombasa Law Court, succumbed to COVID-19 on the 2nd of December. The pandemic almost ground the wheels of justice as several courts across the country resorted to temporary or partial closure to stem the spread of the virus. Holding of court sessions in the open became the new norm. Maraga further announced a pay cut for judges of the Supreme Court to help mitigate the effects of the pandemic to fund direct public interventions. To help revive dispensation of justice, digitization was adopted.
We are building all this digitization on the strategy that was launched by the Chief Justice in the year 2016. We are looking into a process where we integrate this with the Attorney General's office. That is one. The other one is with the integrated personnel validation, the IPRS.
The Chief Justice David Maraga then launched the new e-filing system. In the new electronic system, all lawyers, police, directors of public prosecution, and members of the public are required to register themselves through a portal to log into the system. Subsequently, court proceedings went virtual, albeit with teething problems.
You had an auction, for instance, at 11 o'clock, and you have filed in the morning. Definitely, it will take, you will not be able to get the orders because we will then give you the payment advice, then you pay, then you send it back to us. Then once it has been sent back to us, we then translate that email and forward it to the judge who is on duty.
As the year moved along, the judiciary suffered a major blow as the allocation in the 2020-2021 budget was reduced to 18.1 billion shillings from 18.8 billion shillings the previous financial year.
And threatened to reduce the judiciary budget. When, in September 2017, the majority of the Supreme Court nullified the presidential election, it is on record that the president threatened to revisit. And the following financial year, we saw a reduction of the development vote of the judiciary budget from 2.1 billion to a paltry 50 million.
One of the decisions that trialed the executive was Chief Justice David Maraga's advisory dated September the 21st to the President to dissolve Parliament for failing to enact legislation required to implement the two-thirds gender role. The Chief Justice said he was responding to 6 petitions seeking his advice on the matter, saying despite 4 court orders compelling Parliament to enact the legislation of Parliament had blatantly failed, refused or neglected to do so. Parliament also found itself on the wrong in the eyes of the judiciary when the High Court ordered MPs to refund 1.2 billion shillings that they unlawfully awarded themselves as house allowances in the year 2018. The Salaries and Remunerations Commission and activist Okiom Tata Okoiti had challenged the 250,000 shilling house allowance that the 416 MPs awarded themselves. Justice Weldon Korir, Pauline Nyomoya and John Mativo unanimously ruled as illegal the move by the Parliamentary Service Commission to approve the allowances. And close to 13 years after post-election skirmishes, 4 victims of sexual violence who were subjected during the mayhem were awarded 4 million shillings each in compensation. Justice Weldon Korir ruled that the government of Kenya was responsible for failure to conduct independent and effective investigations and prosecutions of sexual and gender-based violence-related crimes during the post-election violence. Towards the end of this term, Maraga found himself at loggerheads with the executive yet again over a proposal by the Building Bridges Initiative to have a judiciary ombudsman appointed by the president with the approval of the Senate. Maraga, however, insisted that the Judiciary Ombudsman be appointed by the Judicial Service Commission to avoid conflicting decisions that may be made by the Ombudsman and JSE.
The risk of parallel complaints being instituted with the JSE as well as the Ombudsman and the possibility of different decisions being arrived at is real and may result into a constitutional quagmire.
And as the country's 14th Chief Justice David Kenani Maraga began his terminal leave on the 12th of December, integrity queries arose yet again over his deputy Philomena Mwilu, who he had recommended to step in as acting Chief Justice. This comes at a time when the Supreme Court finds itself incapacitated as several of its members retire. Well, as we wind up the year 2020, it's notable to mention of the outgoing 14th Chief Justice of Kenya, David Kenani Maraga, who began his terminal leave on the 12th of December. Come early January, he will be handing over the reins as Kenya's Chief Justice as he turns 70 years old. Well, what a walk down the corridors of justice the Chief Justice has had during his tenure. Well, from us, this is the wrap of some of the notable cases and rulings of the judiciary in 2020. For Scales of Justice Channel 1 News, I'm Serafina Robbie. Do have yourself a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.